Hey everyone, I'm going to be doing another duel commentary for you. This is a bit of a longer duel and it kind of shows how things can get out of control. So starting off, my brother summons Zambira the Dark, who has 2100 attack. He is unable to attack directly though. So he's a bit of a beater. He's one of the highest attack monsters in the game, but I'm fine. I just play Shard of Greed and Future Visions. Ryan goes ahead and tributes Zambira for Majo Shalian, which was an interesting play. He's deciding to put pressure on right away. Future Visions is a really interesting card in the cube. I've actually taken it out since this video was recorded just because it slows the game down so much, which you'll see in a second. So then I went ahead and summoned Krebons, and Krebons got banished, so I went back to my brother. He attacked, I Fiendish chained the Majo Shalian, and so now that thing was stuck there. Came back to my turn, Shard of Greed kicked in, so I was able to draw 2 more cards. And now we're at where we are right now. Part of the reason why I took Future Visions out was just because it slows the game down so much. Every normal summon essentially takes 2 turns instead of 1. And you also have to think so much farther ahead, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that in doing so, plays just take a lot longer. You end up getting a lot more clogged with cards. And also, it was one of only 2 field spells in the deck, so once you play it, you pretty much, it's just there the whole game. So I play Autonomous Action Unit. I pay 1500 life points to special summon Zambira the Dark from my brother's graveyard. It's basically a premature burial, but for your opponent's graveyard, and it has a higher cost. So I go ahead and synchro summon. I synchro the 2 monsters for Flamvel Uruquiza, so it's 2100 attack, so 100 higher, and he has piercing. So it was a bit of an aggressive push. It honestly wasn't necessary. I mean, my hand was okay, but I didn't really have anything that could put a big threat on the board. But it doesn't matter because in the damage set, my brother flips up Miniaturize to make Flamvel Uruquizas lose 1000 attack, putting it down to 11. So right there, I think about doing a play, but I don't, and it gets destroyed and I take 900 damage. So that puts me down to 5600. So in main phase 2, I just go ahead and set 2 cards, and I end my turn. So now it's my brother's turn. He just sets 1 right to his back row. I draw, I set 1. It goes back to my brother, he draws, he sets 1 and ends. Goes back to my turn, and now I flip up Worm Links and set another card. So really right in that situation, the game slowed down a great deal. Neither of us really had anything to make a big play. I'm not able to get over Majo Shalian, and his guy wasn't able to attack. So we both basically extended really early into a big threat. Both of them got neutralized, and now we're basically back to square one. The only difference now is I have Worm Links is generating me a +2 on every single one of my turns, giving me an extra draw in every end phase. So I'm going to quickly be able to gain advantage if Ryan isn't able to increase the pressure and start pushing on me. So Ryan goes ahead and he flip summons his Mask of Darkness. That lets him add Miniaturize right back to his hand. He goes ahead and attacks Worm Links, and I lance his Mask of Darkness, putting it down to 100. So he takes 200 damage, and that's the end of the turn. So now it goes back to my turn. I draw for turn. I put Worm Links in defense mode. At this point, I still don't have a way to beat over Majo Shalian, but the fact that I'm gaining so many resources is a real problem for him. And also the fact that Future Visions is on the field is even if he does have an answer for Worm Links, he won't be able to get it off the field until next turn. So it's a really big threat. So I summon Dark Geroid to make Majo Shalian lose 800 attack, and I flip summon to Koichi, letting me draw another card. I set 1 card to my back row, and I end my turn. I didn't attack with Koichi. I'm not 100% sure why. It kind of made sense that I should have just ran it over right there, but whatever. So it goes over to Ryan's turn. Ryan just sets 1 to his field and sets 1 to his back row. Now it goes to my turn. I play Nobleman of Crossout on the face down. Turned out to be a Shield Wing, which was a really good play, just because Shield Wing would have been a pain to get over. And then I get my Dark Geroid. So now I'm able to start being a little bit more aggressive and really evening the playing field out a little bit. I've gained so many cards over the past couple turns from Worm Links that my hand is entirely full, almost to the point where it's becoming a little bit of a liability in the fact that I don't want to lose too many cards from my hand, otherwise I'll start, decking out and be too far behind. So now's the time to start committing a lot more to the field and putting on the pressure from the advantage I've gained over the past, 4 or 5 turns. So I go ahead and attack with Dekoichi. Dekoichi's at 1400, Majoshelion's at 12 from Dark Geroid. Majorshelion dies, he takes 200. And then Dark Geroid attacks for 12, and he takes that as well, going down to 6600. In my main phase 2, I set one monster, and I set one more card to my back row, and then I overlay for number 39 Utopia. I end my turn and draw a card for Wyrmlinks. Goes over to Ryan. Ryan plays Red Jackie. So he's basically wiping out Utopia, Wyrmlinks, and my face down. Not a really bad way. I mean, I've been gaining so much advantage that he kind of needed that to level it out. I still have way more cards than him. I have a full 6-card hand, 3 cards face down. Ryan only has like 3 or 4 in hand, so he just sets one monster, and he ends his turn. So now it goes over to me. I draw for turn. I summon Victory Viper XX03. He gets banished because of Future Visions. And I end, pass back over to Ryan. Ryan flips up Don Zalug. It was a really good play setting it. For when it got around Future Visions, and also since it has 1500 defense, that's actually massive for this. So, he would have been able to net me a discard. He flips it up and attacks, but I chain Scapegoat to get some monsters, and he just kills a goat, and he sets one. Goes back to my turn. I get back Victory Viper. So now I have a lot of tokens, and Victory Viper can generate tokens as well. So my field is getting pretty clogged. I need to get over that Don Zalug though, so I decide to Ryoko it to make its attack get halved, and then I gain that amount of attack. I attack, the attack connects, he takes the damage, but he plays Widespread Dud, attaching them to both the monsters. So even though I did the damage, he kills Victory Viper. So on my turn I summon Glow Up Bulb. It gets banished. Set another card. We go over to Ryan. I guess Ryan doesn't really have anything, or he's just trying to hold it and save something. I'm not really sure what his plan was, because he just sets another monster. I mean, I had Scapegoat tokens. I just summoned Bulb. That should be like a sign that I'm about to make a big play. I play Pot of Greed. Play some more draw cards. Honestly, this duel was so weird because I had so many powerful cards that let me draw and stuff within the deck. And I think it got a little bit greedy. I also summoned Magical Scientist. That gets banished because of Future Visions. And now it's time for me to start making some crazier plays. So we put Shooting Star Dragon in here. We had never summoned it at this point, so I think I got really focused on summoning Shooting Star Dragon and thinking all of like, what are the cool wombo combos that I could make, instead of just thinking, what's the best way to use these resources I have to put the most pressure on him. So I go for Formula Synchron to let me draw another card, and then I just end my turn with setting 5 back row. Ryan is in a pretty much ideal situation at this point because he tribute summons both of his monsters for Photon Wyvern. When Wyvern is normal summoned, you get to destroy all of your opponent's set cards. So he just basically Harpy Feather Dustered me. So that's not good. I gained all this advantage, so I want to keep it. So I chain a couple cards. I chain Threatening Roar, chain Compulsory, and I chain MST on his face down. And then my other 2 cards just got destroyed as well. And they were Michizuri and Book of Moon. So they were all gone. It's kind of a shame because, I amassed all those resources, and I couldn't keep them in my hand. I had a full hand. What are you going to do? I remember we were also having a discussion at this point about what if I MST'd the Future Visions? Then his Wyvern would have been banished forever, but then my Magical Scientist would have also been banished, so I think it was the right play to do that. Anyway, Ryan just plays Nightmare Steel Cage, and it goes back to me. So I get Magical Scientist. I set 1 and 1 to my back row, and I end my turn. So now we're still under Nightmare Steel Cage. Nightmare Steel Cage. So Ryan's in a really good situation. Since I'm way up on card advantage, this is basically a godsend for him to try to level it out a little bit. He just sets one. It's so interesting how this time the stall tactics really are working very well in his favor. I have, arguably the most powerful card in the entire set, which is Magical Scientist on my field. I have Formula Synchron. I have so many great cards, but I'm not even able to get a good swing in. So I flip up Karakuri Barrel, whatever, Shinkaro, and I make Mistward Klausilas. Basically, I just needed to open up my field a little bit. I have so many weenie monsters, but really nothing that can apply that much pressure. So right now I'm looking to make a bigger threat. And of course, since I'm able to do it, I'm thinking about making Shooting Star Dragon. So I just set one. I'm not able to make a push on this turn, so I feel like the right play is just to sit it out. So I let my brother go again. I put Magical Scientist in defense mode. Ryan sets one, and he ends his turn. So Nightmare Steel Cage is now gone. It's my turn. I flip up Death's Lakuta to draw me another card. And now that there's really nothing stopping me, I decide to go ahead and make my push. So I overlay Death's Lakuta and Mistbird Clauselus, and I make number 17 Leviathan Dragon, just to start hitting for more damage. I mean, I'm really not losing by that much, but since I have so much card advantage, now's the time to, consolidate that into major damage and push him into a really dangerous situation. So I detach. I pay 1,000 for Magical Scientist, and I summon Kealo Koala, who has 2,800 attack. He's basically a big beat stick, and then I attack with the Koala. I wound up attacking his Maneater Bug, so he just kills Leviathan Dragon, and that actually helped me out because I needed an extra space to make Stardust to make Shooting Star. But again, it really isn't the best situation because, I basically packed so many weak monsters onto the field, and maybe I just didn't have any really powerful, just beat stick monsters. But regardless, I mill for Glow Up Bulb, I synchro 6 with Koala, Glow Up, and then one of the Scapegoat tokens, and I make 8 for Stardust Dragon, and then I synchro the two of them together for Shooting Star Dragon. So this is the first time either of us have ever made it. It's kind of funny because now we've taken Scientist out, we've taken Glow Up Bulb out, so it probably wouldn't be possible. This would be a much bigger accomplishment, but it was weird. Even though it's supposed to be the hardest monster to bring out in the entire cube, it took so much working around to bring it out that it really almost wasn't worth it, which you're gonna see in a minute. Because yeah, he's able to protect Scientist and everything else, but my brother basically plays around it perfectly. And if I just kept Stardust on the field or something, he would have been able to he probably wouldn't have been able to take it out. So Ryan equips it with Echibio Drachmerd. That prevents it from being able to attack, and then in 2 turns it gets destroyed. And then Echibio goes back to his hand. Echibio is actually one of my favorite cards. It's really cool, especially in slower formats like this. So I use Magical Scientist. I pay another 1,000 life points. I bring out Darkfire Dragon. Then I flip summon my DD Warrior, and I make Diamond Direwolf. And then Direwolf is just going to blow himself up to destroy Echibio Drachmerd. So it's kind of weird because I feel like I'm expending so many resources in order to have that versatility, which I think is a really awesome element of the cube, but it's also a really dangerous situation for me. So I activate Shooting Star Dragon's effect. I reveal the top 5 cards in my deck to try to get extra attacks and just beat him, but I don't get a single tuner, so he's only able to attack once. But he attacks anyway, and unfortunately the attack goes through, so he goes down to 2,800 life points. And now he's in the danger zone. We're pretty much evened out, except I still have a couple more cards in him. However, I have probably 10 or 12 less cards in my deck than he does. So if Ryan's just able to stall out effectively without, taking a really big hit to his life points, he'll be able to beat me. So now we're back on Ryan's turn. And Ryan decides during his main phase to play Raigeki Break. He discards a White Knight Dragon from his hand to destroy Shooting Star. I negate it, and then he just plays Lightning Vortex, and so he destroys Shooting Star and Magical Scientist. It's kind of funny that the card got destroyed that quickly, just because it's supposed to be this massive threat, the biggest boss, and it really didn't do anything. But anyway, Ryan just set 1 card. Went back to me. I flipped up Hourglass of Courage, so its attack and defense got halved, and then in 2 turns its attack and defense get doubled. I'm basically just trying to end the game. I only have a couple cards left in my deck, so I need to hit him for that last amount of damage before I run out of cards. So now it's basically pedal to the metal, duel as hard and as fast as I can to take out his life points. So I set 1, and it goes over to Ryan. Ryan draws for his turn. Ryan flips up Penguin Soldier, which is very devastating at this point, because he sends both my monsters back to my hand, putting me back essentially, 2 turns because of future visions. And then he goes on, he's like, remember how I was debating letting Shooting Star go through? I actually wanted to get less life points than you. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, this, unstable evolution, which boosts Penguin Soldier's attack up to 2400. So that's a problem, because he basically gets a free swing for 24, putting me down to 1200 life points, which is very dangerous for me. His Penguin Soldier goes back down to 1000 attack, but again, I can't attack this turn because of future visions. So I draw for turn, and I set a spell or trap card, and I pass back to Ryan. His bouncing back my 2 monsters was very bad, because I really don't have that much time to spend wasting around on this. He goes ahead and tribute summons his 2 monsters for a monster in defense mode. He's had quite a lot of tribute monsters this game. He had Photon Wyvern, he had White Knight Dragon, so he just set something. So I'm reading a Photon Wyvern just because, he had it earlier on in the game. It was in his hand, and I did not want to get blown out by it. But I wound up setting a spell card, and I set another monster, and I played Different Dimension Gate. I needed to get it off the field because I didn't want anything bad to happen to it, so I had to banish my own set monster. Go back over to Ryan's turn. He draws. He plays Dash Warrior, which gets banished, but can go up to 1800 when it attacks, so that's really bad for me because now I can lose. This would have been the ultimate turn to push for a game, but I had to get rid of both my monsters, and so I also played pretty much dreadfully at this point. I should have been way more aggressive. Instead, I summoned Mass Sorcerer, it gets banished. Goes over to Ryan. Ryan draws. He gets back Dash Warrior. Dash Warrior attacks. It's my Mysterious Guard, so Dash Warrior goes to the top of the deck. Ryan sets one. I draw for turn. I get Mass Sorcerer. I tribute summon Mass Sorcerer for Air Knight Parshath, which is really crazy. I've been holding that for so long. And now it's basically useless because I have so few cards in my deck that the draw is really kind of wasted, but the piercing can help me win the game. And also, if I had Mass Sorcerer, it's basically the same exact effect as Air Knight Parshath, except I'd just be able to hit for more damage and pierce, so it was the right play, technically. So anyway, I draw, I get Air Knight back. I have 2 cards left in deck, so this is really the time where I have to be making the push, but I don't, which is a terrible mistake that winds up costing me the game. I didn't even attack his face down because I didn't want to lose those cards and be on my final turn, which I think was it was just like such a bad misplay, because now I only have 1 card left in deck. I summon Blackwing Ghibli the Searing Wind, it gets banished, trying to pack on a lot of damage on board. Ryan summons Mystic Swordsman level 2, goes back to me. This is my final turn. I flip up Blast Magician. I make Ghibli's attack 1600. I flip up Big Bang Shot on Ghibli, making it go up to 2000, and it has piercing. So ideally, if Ghibli is able to pierce through the monster, and then Blast Magician can attack directly, that would be game right there. So I go ahead and declare the attack, and Ryan activates Mirror while having the attack. So Blackwing goes to 1000, and Dash Warrior has 1200 defense. So I take 200 right there. I don't have anything that can get over it when all my monsters' attacks are halved, so I basically just have to end the game right there because I had no way of getting around it. I mean, I played Damage Gate to get a monster back to my side of the field, but again, there's really nothing that you can do at that point, so I wound up decking out. And it just goes to show that even if you have the ability to make really powerful effects and monsters, that it doesn't really mean that you're gonna win the game. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed.